guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tori and this is gonna be my first video. It might be a little rough, lighting's a little weird because I'm sitting right next to my window, but I'm gonna have to go around my room a few times until I figure out what I want. But today we are going to talk about my top 10 favorite books. Now most of these are YA except for maybe like one. Our first book is of course Coraline. I don't know how many times I have seen this movie, but it's been a lot. And this book is the best thing ever. It's about this girl who gets moved to another state. You know, she's upset about it. Which, well, in the movie, you know, she has a friend. In this one, she just talks to herself the whole time, which makes it more creepy. But this book is the best. And this next book is Dorothy Must Die. Now, a lot of these books might be, you might see stuff like this, well, and this, just because I get a lot of my books from the library, just because it's easier that way, and of course I can't afford all the books that I want. But this book is a retelling of The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy is the villain, and Amy actually gets sucked up into a tornado. She lives in Kansas, and she basically gets dropped off into the land of Oz, and she has to, you know, defeat Dorothy. Now this is the first out of 4, I believe, and there's a bunch of novellas and everything. I just finished every single book in the series and it is the best. Next book, I really love the first one. The second one is okay. Every Day by David Levithan is such an amazing book. It's about this person named A who has to switch bodies every single day. It's always in the same area, it's always the same age, but every day she's something new. And she meets this girl. Rhiannon, and she ends up falling in love with her, and A tries to figure out how to be with her. So A goes into Justin, which is Rhiannon's boyfriend, and she ends up falling in love with Rhiannon. And Rhiannon notices something different about Justin because that day he's not his normal, like, jerky self. A tries to convince Rhiannon that she was in Justin's body that day when they go out and have their adventure. And I'm really excited because this book is becoming into a movie in like March or May. I think it may be March, but when I found the trailer I was so excited. And the sequel to this is basically this book, but in Rhiannon's point of view, so it's basically the same story, maybe just a little bit different. That's why I didn't really like the second one, but apparently there is a third one. It's going to be like a conclusion of their story. So I'm really excited about that. The next book on this list, I got a sample of it just to see how it is, and I actually ended up really loving it and I ended up buying it, and it's Someone Else's Summer. This book is about a girl named Anna whose sister tragically dies in a car accident on her high school graduation night. And while Anna was going through Storm's room, she finds a bucket list of what she wanted to do that summer before she went to college. Well, Anna decides to go with one of her friends and actually goes on all the things that are on her bucket list. It's a great book, of course, to read during the summer because it's about summer and summer adventures and everything. Or if you miss summer, this is something you can read and be like to hype you up for summer. But I love this Anna's journey and how she tries to get closer to her sister and remember her sister, and it's very emotional because of course Anna just lost her best friend, but you should really pick this up. Alright, number 5. This is Warcross by Mary Lou. A lot of people on YouTube have read this book and they love this book. So I finally picked it up and I read it in maybe a week, which is a record for me because usually takes me like 2, maybe 3 weeks to read a book. But this book is amazing. It's about this girl who's poor and she is a very good hacker, and Warcross is a game, and she glitches herself into the game on accident when she was trying to steal money, and the person who created this notices her, and then he hires her to try to figure out, there's like things going on in the game, and he hires her so she can figure out what's going on. I love the ending, and I feel like she's writing the second one. The second one's coming out soon. I'll have to look up on that, but this was like one of the best books. I think it's the first book I actually finished reading in 2018. I know this next book actually has a lot of controversy. I know like half the people hate it and half the people love it, and that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I cannot express how much I am in love with this book. I read all the first 3 books in maybe a month and the novellas like all in the same month because I couldn't put it down. About 2 societies, the poor and the rich. If you're poor, you have red blood, and if you are rich, you have silver blood. And this is about a girl named Mare who ends up going to the castle of the king who as a servant, and she ends up falling, and they end up finding that she has powers, which powers is only for the silver bloods. And this is about her journey and how she has to keep her identity a secret. Her journey on how she basically has to keep that she has powers a secret. And she ends up training with all the other people, but then she tries not to get cut, because if she gets cut and she bleeds and they notice that she has red blood, things can go terribly wrong. This series is my favorite. It's been my favorite since I picked it up. I'm so excited for the 4th book. I actually have a countdown on my phone, and this is really good. You should read it. The next book that I have is Cara Ball. I bought this at Walmart like randomly. I think I heard people about it, so I bought it. It took me a while to actually read it, but once I read it, I was so hooked. Like, this is one of the books that I've read in a week, which normally for me is really hard to do because I'm so busy. But when I was working at the daycare, I had to do nap time, so while my 2-year-olds were sleeping, I was reading. And this book got me sucked in the first few pages. It's about a girl named Scarlett and her sister Tella, and Scarlett has been writing to the owner of Cara Ball for years, and how saying that she really wants to be part of this game. Well, finally she gets picked. She wasn't gonna go because she was supposed to get married in a few weeks. Well, her sister ends up going, and her and this guy named Julian end up actually going to Cara Ball to find her. Well, it happens that Tella is in the game and Scarlett has to win to find her sister. So much goes down. This is another book where I'm very excited for the sequel. Very excited to find out what happens in this book. Alright, my last book, of course, is Illuminate. Now, this took me a while to read just because it's a really big book. And I have the audiobook with it for this one and Gemini. And this book is so good. Like, I was interested in it for a long time just because of how it's laid out. Because it's not like a normal book. A lot of it's like this. Usually if it's black, it's the AI that's speaking because they live in space, and it's basically in the future. That planet gets attacked. They end up having to go to the 3 spaceships. Katie and Ezra, who are our main characters, end up actually breaking up a few hours before the attack, and they end up going on 2 separate spaceships. Well, they find out that the people that bombed and attacked their planet is actually still trying to find all the ships that escaped. So, what's great about this book is like it has like countdowns to when the Lincoln is gonna attack. It has usually, if it's black like this is the AI, it's basically the computer Aiden who's talking. And this book and Gemini are so good. Y'all, if you haven't read this, you need to read it. Alright, and that's everything for my first video. I know it's probably going to be a little rough. My first ones might be crazy. I'm sorry. I have a makeup channel with my best friend. Usually she's the one talking, I'm the one behind the camera. So it's going to take me a little bit to be in front of the camera. But I hope you stick with me with this journey, and have a great day.